Welcome to Changing the Narrative. I'm your host, Sammika Cosey. Thank you all so much for tuning in and joining us today. Today we have another amazing episode. So last month was Men's Health Awareness. So what we wanted to do was to continue the conversation on things that affect men within our community. So today we are going to be sitting down talking to the CEO of Black Tears. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Mm-hmm. And how you guys doing? My name is Montreal Blakely. I'm from Black Tear Cancer Awareness. Today I'm here with Sammika.
Awesome. So, can you tell us what Black Tears is and what was the reason behind your creation of Black Tears?
Black Tears right now is a cancer awareness organization. The name was created in 2012. Well, actually, it wasn't created in 2012. My son died in 2012. And for years, I couldn't dream. I couldn't, my dreams were black. I was always sad. I felt literally my tears was black, and I started writing a story about them. And that's where the name came up from, Black Tears.
Okay. And what made you, so after your son passed away and you started to create Black Tears, what made you work toward creating it, the name, and holding it for your nonprofit also?
I created the name because at the time in my life, I felt like, everything was literally black. Like, we got all the crime in Chicago. I feel about all the black mothers that were crying. And that was one of the things where I came up with, Black Tears with my son. And in our culture, period, it was a lot of black tears. So I wanted people to understand that my tears wasn't clear tears. They were black tears, literally. So that is basically the solid part about Black Tears, but it was definitely created writing about my son, Montreal Jr.
Can you share a little about your son if you don't mind?
He was a high school football star. He was going to visit someone in another location of the city. It seemed like, it was a botched robbery. He was tussling with a guy that tried to rob him, tussling with the gun, and the guy ended up getting the best of him and just started shooting. And he took off and ran, but one bullet hit him, and it eventually hit his heart, and he died that night.
Sorry to hear that.
Yes, and like I say, his name is Montreal Blakely Jr. He was a high school football star. You can Google him anywhere, and it'll pop right up. Anywhere.
Does the story of your son and his experiences that help also to drive you in what you're doing now?
It definitely me. Especially when it comes to nonviolence, gun violence, and I'm living here in Chicago. I see so many boys that remind me of my son. He was the typical teenager with the dreads, and in our communities, so many boys got dreads or locks, and I'm constantly reminded of him. So it's definitely a big thing for me to even talk to the youth, because like I say, I've been there and I know it. I've looked at my son in a casket, so it always drives me. Like I say, I used to tell his friends, don't die for him, live for him.
Mm-hmm. Can you say that one more time for the youth that are listening?
Don't die for your friends, live for your friends.
Yeah, that's so important.
Yes.
So I know earlier you mentioned prostate cancer. Mm-hmm. Can you share your story?
Yes. Yes, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2023. it was a shock, as anybody that being diagnosed. I started off where I couldn't normally pee,
Mm-hmm.
and this was after I had just finished doing a 6-year prison term. I wasn't out no more than 2 days, and I couldn't urinate, and I found myself in the ER, and they end up putting a catheter in me, releasing, telling me I had to come back for a biopsy, which I did, maybe a week or two later. And once I did get the biopsy, it came back within 2 weeks, and they told me I had stage 4 cancer.
What was your initial response when you heard that? And how did they deliver that to you?
The delivery was bad. Um, we were in a setting, if you can see, just say this was a doctor's room. The doctor was sitting at a computer. I had maybe 4 or 5 of my family members there, also in the room with me. And he sat down on the computer and he opened it up and he says, "Well, this is what we got." And he basically say, "You got cancer here, you got cancer here, you got cancer here, you got cancer here." And my reaction was my brain shut down.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up a couple minutes later with doctors looking over me, family members. It literally, for the first time in my life, it shut my brain down without getting hit, without somebody hitting you over the head with something. It was for the first time in my life, words knocked me out. Words. And that man telling me that I had stage 4 cancer, it overwhelmed my brain. I have never seen nothing in my life that overwhelmed my brain. And I've buried 2 kids. But that was the most personal hit that a person can get, especially when you don't see it coming.
Yes.
I didn't see it coming. We were hoping that walking into it, we were thinking, okay, maybe it's something we can go do surgery, we can quick fix, or okay, and it was way bigger than any of us thought that day. And it completely, like I said, it completely knocked me out.
Now, I know you mentioned that the doctor was there and you had family members there. What was everyone's response at that time?
Tears. And that goes back to another thing that I tell people about the word black tears.
Mm-hmm.
It falls under so many umbrellas in our community: violence, disease, any any kind of thing you can name. Black tears falls under that. But it was a lot of crying, a lot of crying. We were all shocked. Um, I'm like the oldest cousin, the oldest brother in our whole entire family. So to see me, something hit me and knock me down, and I have a lot of females in my family, and it kind of devastated. It was devastating for everybody, you know. Even like I say, there wasn't no part of my family that wasn't hurt, and you don't. It's a long process. It's a process where it's so many layers. When you do, you get that word that you have cancer. A lot of people don't know it's so many processes of. First, you gotta face the news. That's one thing. Just facing the news. And once you face that news, and facing that news doesn't come overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Facing that news takes a while. It took me basically probably a year to really face it. And I've talked to a lot of black older men that had prostate cancer or that still have prostate cancer, and they tell me they don't they don't tell their family. They don't let anybody know. It's something that they keep inside. And I wanted to know, well, why would
Why?
you
Yes.
keep that inside? And a man told me one day, he says, because I don't want people to feel sorry for me. And I looked at him and I got it. Only reason I got it because I got cancer. And I've been through that same thought process. Do I tell people? Do I let people get in my life like that? Because cancer is not an easy thing for people to accept. I'm telling you, it's different. So I understood him, but I didn't, you know.
So at that moment, because I know now you openly talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So with saying that you understood him, but then you also didn't understand
Right.
him, what exactly was going through your head? And then what also pushed you to go out and to share your story with other people?
Okay, first question, my thought when I did hear it, like I said, I understood it, but I didn't. And the didn't part is that the alarming rate Black men are catching prostate cancer. We're literally dying from it. And why would you not try to help somebody else?
Yes.
Instead, keep it and you hide it and you die with it by yourself. But if you came up out of that shell, you could help me at the age of 40 to 45 where somebody's telling you, go take the test. Go get the test done. And that's what we need in the Black community to give that bump to Black men from 40 to 45. It takes a man like me walking with stage 4, advocating it, because that's the only way Black men understand. You have to be right in their face.
Yes.
We can't understand a book. We can't understand a commercial. I have to literally be right here, bro. I'm dying from this. I am dying from this. I'm trying to help you. I'm not trying to be rich. I'm not even going to live long enough to be rich. None of that. I'm in it because I'm trying to help the next person just like the generation before me should have helped. And it's not just the generation before me. It's like
Goes all the way down
it goes like 100
yes.
years. It's like we've been hiding it for generations. And so one of the biggest things in my life that I felt this year, the biggest thing was I put God back in my life. That was the biggest thing for me this year, because there's no way. You said, how did I come out? That's how I came out. God. Because if I wouldn't have put God back in my life, I couldn't have told you. I couldn't have told this person. I would have lived the life like everybody else before me lived it, didn't tell it, So I had to get my spirit back. I had to. And cancer messed me up. So I was already messed up literally so bad. Cancer messed my emotions up so bad and changed my reality.
Yes.
That I had no other choice. And God gave me that choice. I had an assignment. How can I get cancer back? How can I be the biggest cancer snitch it is? So I'm telling everything about cancer. I'm telling how it makes me feel that night. I'm telling everybody how I walk through it every day. Like I say, it's layers to it. It's medical. Do you know how hard it is for a Black man to walk into a doctor's office at the age of 58, 57, and you look in that doctor's office, and basically 80% of that room is 70 and up. And I'm in my 50s, sitting here. And give it to me at 70, 80, But to sit there and be juvenile, and you can see I'm very emotional, but I'm in the same boat.
They're the rest of them, yes.
And I had to learn those layers. I had to learn my medication. I had to learn what to take, who to take. I had to learn, just don't, my doctor say do this. I have to listen to you, but I don't because it's my body. I had to take control of what was going into my body. I had to tell it, no, doc, I don't like that. I'm not taking that. Let's go this route. I'm not doing this. Let's do that. And not in an angry, vicious way, or because there's people, they're trying to help me. But I can't let you help me unless I'm helping myself.
Yes. And
So,
how was that with advocating for yourself? Because I know a lot of people, once the doctor tells him something or tells him to take something, a lot of people will just go for it, even if they don't like how it makes them feel. So, how was that with advocating and telling the doctor, like, hey, I don't want this one, let's try this instead?
no, I've kind of been out the door with the advocate. You could take that out of my life. I'm pretty, um, I'm the strongest man I know. I don't know a man that's stronger than me. And I say that not in strength, I can lift a building, but like I said, I've buried 2 kids. And after I buried 2 kids, I come up with stage 4 cancer. So telling a doctor, I walked it. I'll give you example. When I first diagnosed with the cancer, I went to, I ain't gonna mention the hospital name, but I went to a hospital, started there, and it was a younger doctor. And he was just too young for me too. To let's do this. You're healthy, and you can. And I'm like, okay. And then I went looking for other doctors, and I kept, I went to like 3 doctors, and the third doctor, what made me want to keep that doctor, he's a doctor from Northwestern Hospital, David Vanderwell, that's my doctor. And it's almost like I like my preachers. It's just me, I'm old school. I want an old preacher.
Yeah.
I don't want no young preacher. It's just me. And that's kind of how I wanted my doctor. I wanted him seasoned. I wanted him, because when you're seasoned, you get a more seasoned doctor, he's going to tell you the truth. And he see things because he's experienced. He's already see things before. I can tell him about a symptom and he's already heard it before, or he knows. Instead of a young doctor like, that this Gen Z, no. So I had to go through that process of being that guy that I tell people like, do you do chemo? Do you do radiation? No. I don't want chemo. I don't want radiation. I've lived long enough in my life that I've seen people do chemo
Yes.
and radiation, and I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. So I had to figure out what was the next best way to deal with it, because it took me a year where I didn't want nothing. I didn't take nothing. I didn't want nothing. It was one of the hardest decisions I made this year, is to go into treatment. You had hormones, you had radiation, and you had chemo. And you could have did all 3. You can do one, you can do. And certain other things in my life was going to slow down. I had to make some cancer make you have to make some very important decisions.
Yes.
And I made them. I'm still making them. That's the thing about cancer. You do not stop making decisions. You're always making decisions. So you got to be blessed when your decision is a lightweight decision. Because some of my decisions is part of how well I want to suffer. Do I want to suffer this way? Do I want to suffer that way? Do I want to go through this? Do I want to go? So there is no way out of the suffering. You suffer every day at my level. I don't know about other people level, but at my level, you suffer every day. I just got to figure out what's the best suffering. What can I deal with in that day? How can I go through?
And so I know earlier you mentioned, so going with what you're talking about now with like the pain and the things that you have to suffer through, I know you mentioned that you went and you developed a stronger relationship with God. Can you tell us a little about how that has helped transform what's happening with you today and you creating Black Tears in a nonprofit?
Yes, I can elaborate on that. Right now, God is the number one thing in my life right now. I can't, I couldn't do anything. I'm a man that, with cancer disease, you have, like I said, I've seen it, you have a lot of people when they die, they're scared. You know, you
Yeah.
can see it. And I didn't want to be that man that laid in the bed and just was scared to die. I want to be at peace. I kind of want to be with my family, like, yeah, I'm ready. I did what I had to do. I did what God asked me to do to get this assignment because I couldn't do it without him. I can't
Mm-hmm.
make this journey without God. It's just impossible. So I started going to church. I go to church now twice a month. I don't go throw myself on the altar and say, no. I go there like God when he says, man, just come in. Because like I say, it took me 40 some years to go back to church.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back with attitude because I buried 2 kids. So at this point in my life, I hated God. I didn't want nothing to do with him. I was mad, you took one of my kids and then turned around and then another one. So I was furious with God. God was not, and anybody know me, they'll tell you. I didn't have no shame of telling you that. Because I looked at 2 of my kids in the casket. So it was hard for me to, like, oh God, tripping her. And it was a lot of pain. A lot of pain. But I was in the hospital one night and I was like, hey, I gotta have God. I can't do it without him. And like I say, I ain't no I'm a rough dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm really born and raised in the trenches, but it came to a point in my life where it's time for me to be the most truthful that I can. And it's time for me to make decisions because now he's giving me favor. So I have to use it. He's giving me assignment. And that assignment is to help people get this awareness out about prostate cancer. Because like I said, it ain't about me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Why do you think that is so important, especially within the Black community, to push more awareness about prostate cancer?
Because with black men, you if you like your grandpa, and you like your uncles, and you're gonna like your daddy one day, we need to save our own community. There is no one else that's gonna come into the black community and says, you know what, all these black men are dying from prostate cancer, and let's fix it. Let's do this. It's very important because it's not like lung cancer. It's not like breast cancer. It doesn't have that audience, especially in our community. And if you leave here, you can't go nowhere and find somebody advocating for prostate cancer in the black community. You have the youth killing on one side, and you have the disease on the other
On the
side.
other side, yes.
So it's very important for us to start getting black men tested. Start it, and I'm not talking about just in our community, but the narrative of the legislation on a whole. We need to get free PSA testing, period. It's a cancer. It's killing people. Why you can't just get free screening?
Mm-hmm. To help
Do you know?
everyone.
Yeah. Do you know
Yes.
it costs $200 to $300 just to go get a screening?
Wow.
So if you don't have no insurance, that's what it costs
Mm-hmm.
without insurance.
And
You
that
have to pay.
probably prevents a lot of
Of
people from
course it
even
does.
going because
Of
they can't
course it
financially
does.
afford
It
it.
should be free.
Mm-hmm.
But you know who dying from it? Black man and brown man. We're the only ones dying from it. So there is not like a white man. We're killing them 2 to 1. It's us dying from prostate cancer and brown man. So we have to deal with it now. Like I said, if you don't have insurance, you can't even get tested at all if you don't have insurance. So, and like I say, in our community, how many centuries does it take for us to even start getting educated. We really need to start getting educated on our own health.
Mm-hmm.
Not you don't even have to get educated on your brother health. You need to get educated on your own health.
Mm-hmm. So there's probably a lot of men who are watching this right now.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to them, those who are still afraid to go out and get tested, even though they have insurance, or those who may not be financially able to go out? What steps would you say for them to go and still push toward getting tested and the importance of it?
That's hard to say because they're really not going to give it to you unless you have insurance, and it costs a few hundred to get it. So my best help would to tell you, and that is try to find someone free that's doing free screening, and that's pretty hard. And no matter what, go get tested. Find a way to go get your PSA done.
Can you also tell people how they can follow you and support Black Tears?
Yes, follow me, blacktearinc.org. blacktearinc.org. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We on all those outlets, but most important, blacktearinc.org. Support cancer awareness, please.
So I do want to thank you so much for joining us, and thank you all for tuning in and listening to us today. Make sure you go out and support Black Tears and go follow them on all social media platforms and go to their website. Before we end, I know you have some very big things coming up. Can you also let people know the link to where they can make any donations or anything to your organization?
Yes, go to blacktearinc.org. On my website, we have a donation page and you can donate. We have a walk coming up in September. We'd like for you guys to join us, collaborate with us. Like I said, March is in September. At the end of September, I haven't definitely got the date, but it is in September. Go to my website, go to Facebook, Instagram. I'll be letting you guys know, but you can go to the website and get all the information that you need.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And for everyone who is listening, always remember nothing changes. If nothing changes, we all have the power to go out and to change the narrative. Thank you.
Thank you.